Welcome back to another episode of LANCESCURV. Again, I want to say if you do not see me on YouTube or any social media platform, you can always find the work that we do here on LANCESCURV.com. It sounds kind of like a premonition, right? Like he knows he's not going to be there. You never know with what goes on social media, how long you're going to last. This is the age of censorship. This is the age of targeting you. If you have a platform that doesn't go against nature. That being said, I was going to wait to say it, but I'm going to say it right now. I'm really sorry to share this news. Our brother, Michael Hamer, has transitioned. And I know it is something that is in keeping with his destiny. I got a call not too long ago from his daughter, Amber Hamer, and I never knew her. I knew of her. I think I spoke to her over the phone one time when I called for him, and she passed the phone over. But as soon as I got that call, this time of night, which really was earlier, because for me it's 1:04 right now, a.m. And as soon as she said Amber Hamer, I was like, oh my God, no, 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 no. And she was like, yes, he transitioned. I'm not sure whether it was yesterday or 2 days ago, but yes, he transitioned. And it is what it is. What can I say? Thank me for the videos that were created, that were made. And I told her I was going to speak on him in a video that I make within the next few days. And she thanked me for the videos, that they have a lot to look at. Because sometimes this is the time of social media. We take for granted the ability to just purposely say, hey, let's hold on to these videos that we take and sometimes delete. I remember back in the day, it was a big thing, not necessarily a big thing, but a common thing that I would hear when someone would transition, that a person would go back to their voicemail, especially back in the 70s on all those old rickety voice answering machines that had tape in it, not digital. There's nothing digital back then. And they would hold on to that message because that was the last time, or that's something they can hold on to hear their voice. So that's why she was thankful with the videos that we did. And I let her know that I was thankful to have shared space and absorb wisdom and knowledge from him. And he is one of, and I say beautiful, not in any LGBTQ kind of way, but he was a very beautiful man. And I say that in a very masculine way to a very masculine man. And I know he had issues with his health. He had been in and out of the hospital recently. That's something I know. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, he called me and he's like, Lance, I'm going to call you later on. We're going to do something. I said, sure. But he never called. Maybe he was feeling under the weather, but I wouldn't hold him to task because I know he had some issues with his health. But the times that I would meet him up the block, well, a couple blocks from where I used to live in Orlando, right there on Hiawassee Road and Silver Star Road, right by the Popeye's Chicken. And we would be outside, sometimes under where the strip mall is. It was like a little place right in front of the doors that was shielded from rain. And we'd go there and pitch the tripod, and I'd have fixed a little wireless microphone on him. And he would just go, hey, this is the Rainbow Warrior, Michael Hamer. You know what I mean? It was just, and I'd stand there. I'd walk around. I say, man, listen, they got to see your face. Take as long as you want. If you want to talk for 6 hours, I'm going to let you talk for 6 hours. I'm not going to stop what it is that you have to share. And after, I'm going to get on with the topic. I just want to say this because I'm still going to do a separate video, probably going to chop up some video, actual video. The times he came to the house, times we were in the street. We had another spot over there by Pine Hills Road and Silver Star Road, and we saw that UFO out there. I mean, just amazing. And I really appreciate the time spent, the jokes, you know, just his humor. And he had no venom. He had no venom in him. He just spoke truth. He would speak about things, how we were treated. He always defended us, but he did it in such a clean burning way. And anybody listening to him could not disagree with the way he presented his meal of truth. You know, we're all like restaurants, we're all like chefs. And we prepare things a certain way for the masses. And we just, even if we don't prepare them for the masses, like we have a show or a platform, just us being who we are, people feed off of that, you know. But I love that man so much. I really, really did. I'm not just saying that to be corny. It's the same way I love all of you in the chat room. And I love all of you in the chat room here in a very special, unique way. So I'm going to say that for all of you, that I love you here, but it's a very unique way, you know, because the mixture of our energies produces like a chemical reaction, something different than your mixture with other energies. That's just the way it is. And his sincerity and his love for his people in his own way. You know, he was a barber, and I met him through a passenger of mine who listens to the show, but he never really comes on. And that passenger lived in an area called Carver Shores. And, you know, it was recognized as the hood, but no, I wouldn't say that. For my brother who introduced me to Michael Hamer, he's been there a long time. So he got maximum respect. And through brothers like that, I got maximum respect in the streets. In the streets. A lot of things happen around that area, but he told me, he said, Lance, there's a brother who, he's my barber. And sometimes I use other barbers if he doesn't happen to be, he's not there. But you gotta talk to him. You gotta get him on the show. There's something about this brother. He's an older brother. And the way he talks, man, it's like I don't even want to get up out of his chair when the haircut is over. I said, on your word, brother, I will. And so one day, I believe it was a Saturday, he happened to be there. I came there for him. And I asked for his name, and he turned around and said, yes, I'm Michael Hamer. I said, my brother who lives in Carver Shores, I'll keep his name quiet. Not that he wouldn't mind me saying his name, but you know, I don't have permission, so I kind of, you know, just leave it like that. He says, yeah, I know him. He got his head, you know, last week he was here, man. Yeah. Well, how you doing, man? So you know, he said, what now? I said, listen, you know, I do stuff online, these little shows, you know, and he told me, you know, that you should be on it, you know? And he said, okay, in what capacity? I said, I'm on YouTube. He says, yeah, a lot of people told me I should be on YouTube, but I don't know about these things. So I said, well, listen, I got you. So he says, well, how do you want to do it? I said, well, listen, I see you got somebody sitting in your chair. Here's my number, call me and we'll talk about it. And the first couple of times he came to the house, because he didn't live too far from me, he actually had to pass where we lived in Pine Hills, Florida, up Hiawassee Road. So it was convenient, you know? And then after that, I said, well, you know, let's get a little creative. He said, what you want to do? I said, let's go out in the street. If you can, if it's not distracting to you, not in the middle of the road, but it's more interesting when people are walking back and forth and cars are driving by and you see some people, whatever, and we do it at night. Because he said, I'm a night bird. I said, hey, I roll. I've always been a night bird. So we started doing it sometimes in the street, here and there. And it was just always a pleasure. It really was always a pleasure. Because I'd set up the tripod, get the mic on them, let them talk. And I'd make a few phone calls. I'd step away. I'd get nearby and listen. I might say a word or something funny, but I always let them talk, you know? And that's just how it was, you know? I see Indigo King. What you say here? I remember when y'all were out there when they just put curfew into play, and he was like, "I'm out of here," and Lance completely, yeah, I forgot. I forgot. I completely forgot. I'm like, it's getting empty out here. What's going on? Right? So that's what it is. I have more to say, but oh, the other thing I wanted to say. Oh man, I gotta find it because I'm gonna, I had to redo my playlist and stuff like that. Brother Holla passed away, not this past September, but September last year in 2022. And maybe a year or two before that, Brother Holla and Michael Hamer had a conversation. I started it off with them, but I kind of backed out and let them do their thing. And they talked for a couple of hours, man, and they got down in it in a classic. And so when I do these shows like this and people come on and it's really good stuff, I know that it's not me making the classic, but the energies of those combined that make it a classic. And so me, in my various manifestations in my past lives, I was always known for throwing good parties because I knew who to invite. I knew who to make sure to have there so it can ignite the energy a certain way. And that conversation between Brother Holla and Michael Hamer was phenomenal. And now to think that they both transitioned, as we all will, but it just makes you, for me, it's like capturing lightning in a bottle, because I caught that. I caught that. I step back and let it happen. And that makes me feel so good that you can hear their exchange. You can hear the words of Brother Holla, Michael Hamer. It's still here, even though they left. And for me, it's not about what I say and what I do when I'm talking. I'm only talking because nobody else may be here. But if we have other people who come on that are dynamic and have something to say, you all know there's no ego with me. I'll step back and let it happen. When nobody else is around, I'll come and be a placeholder until the greats come. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much, Miss Archie. Reese is here, Oyala, mixed genre. Let me scroll up because I know Indigo King is here. Patrina Gilbert, yes, indeed. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry I had to break that news. Squirrel, how are you? Thank you so much. Oyala's Cadence, of course. Willie C. Holman Jr., first one in today. Yes. Well, this is definitely not going to be a long one. And every time I say that, it's always like 3 hours, right? I was in a different mood last night. I kind of flowed and reminisced, and I'm going to do that again over the weekend. I like doing that. I didn't get everything out, and I probably never will because I live in that world, right? But I'll say it this way, and I'll let people know on the sly, but I'm not going to say it outright. There's a very, 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 very popular YouTuber, a black man, who did a video. Basically, the title of it, I believe, was Marriage is Dead. And it was instructing men not to go that way. Now, I understood all of his points. I understood, and I'll say, for the way he framed it, and please give me a little chance to explain myself, because the way I say it now, you're like, oh, come on, Scare, how are you going to say so? How do you agree with something like that? Before I do, let me take a little sip of this juice so we can get on with it. It's so good. It's so good. Don't make me wait another night. This juice is gonna get me. One more sip, y'all. Made straight from the backyard, y'all. Merengue, cucumber, June plum leaf, mint, blended. Good stuff. Anyway, okay, let me see. Rachel Perez, yes. Oh, yes, about Michael Hamer again. Jeff Spark, thank you. Thank you for being here, brother. Yeah, I'm gonna do a video, maybe an open show tomorrow. Yeah, instead of me just doing a video of me talking, I think I'm gonna do at some point. I'm not gonna do it first thing in the morning. I'm gonna let the day go on, let the out. If I do it first thing in the morning, a lot of you all are gonna be sleeping. Sometimes you can go to work or whatever. Maybe I'll do it Saturday. I don't know, but I can't say I'm upset because that's how the cycle of life goes, and he fulfilled his mission. But let me just talk about this topic, and like I said, we're gonna really get in on something, and I want people to come on and speak their kind words because they may play that particular video I do in sections, whatever they choose, during the ceremony for him on November 18th. That's when it's going to be. So, very popular YouTuber who was speaking on marriage. And like I said before, allow me to get my words out. Don't jump to any conclusions on things that I'm saying. And I'm not playing both sides of the fence when I say I understand what he said. But this video that he made was sent to me by 3 different people. 2 that I didn't know as well, and 1 that I knew very well. And the one that I knew very well was highly upset at what he was saying. Now, I'll say this. The young lady that sent me the video that I know very well, she is married. And she is very open-minded to those who may not be, who may not want to be, who are not ready or don't want to be, they don't want nothing to do with it. I'm cool with you if that's what it is, because I understand what you feel. But him in the video, I'm going to just go take my time and just go down the list. He basically said that women today, and this is not me talking, if you just come in, this is what he was saying, and I can't paraphrase it because it's the same thing. I'm not saying it word for word, but basically this is what he's saying. So I hope he doesn't come and say, oh, you're putting words in my mouth, because that's not my intent. And it's not my intent to really go after him in some kind of challenge type situation. And I'm coming after you and I'm dissing you. No, it's a mature man. I'd like to think I'm mature, right? And he was saying that women these days, 304s, 304 means hoe, okay? I'm going to drop some language, so just bear with me. He was saying the women today, they don't want to be married. They want to just go out and get the bag, meaning in slang, go out and make their own money, which I have no problem with. But they don't want to be married. They want to be used. This is what he said. He said the women want to be used. He said like what was the term he used? Dump and whatever. Dump and something. Come and dump or something like that, and smash and dash and stash, meaning, you know, just have sex, drop your load, and go. Right? He said this is what women want today. He said the women today are not marriage material. Stop trying to create a housewife out of a hoe. Because all of these women, no matter what, they can act nice, but they're all hoes. And I'm like, whoa, I never heard him talk like that before. So we've had characters in our internet community that we may not have favored. You know, remember the one named Tommy? Back in the day, he blamed black women for everything. They found nuclear arms in Iran. The black woman did it. You know, and calling them hoes and hairy-headed hoes. And we have today, and I've said it before, I'm not going to say the name, a very, very, very popular black YouTube channel and podcaster that he has accrued over 1 million subscribers. But this time, maybe 11, 12 years ago, he was calling black women bitches and hairy-headed hoes and You wouldn't believe it. And one day he took down all his videos and got a suit and tie. And now it's a news channel. So people do what's lucrative for them. And it makes you question, are they really coming from the heart with stuff? Or is that Black empowerment the new money grab? But that's a different subject. This guy, he went on for a long time, and I had to skip past certain parts. And every part I landed on, the video was a little over an hour, and I would jump every 5 minutes because I pretty much got the gist of what he was saying. And he went down and broke it down factually, saying because of the feminist movement, that was it for Black women, because they follow behind the white women and they didn't want this, they didn't want that, and that's all they're good for now. And that's all they want to be is side pieces and playthings. They don't want marriage. You cannot have marriage now. It's no good. It's not going to work. Marriage is dead. So my thing is that I don't think maybe he is as old as I think I have maybe 2 decades on him. So in my mind, I can go back possibly a little further as far as actual experience and hand-on dealings with women. And I'll say that back then was a different time. That you can't say, because of the current climate in the world and how we've been dumbed down in our mind. And I agree with him to the point where, not that women are just all hoes, no, but that has been injected into the atmosphere, and we're all breathing that. Manhood and the expectations of true manhood has been warped. I don't have to preach to the choir, but the thugged out dude, the one who don't care about women and just wants to use them, that rainbow situation that goes on out here, many of us don't know what true Black manhood is. So when you have a whole generation or two now, we're well into this thing now. Now, my other computer has that fan. I'm scared to bring it to them, people to get it fixed, because they might go in there and check out all my keystrokes. It's making a little noise. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it away from me because I have it on for reference, but I really don't need it. But it's making a lot of noise right now. So bear with me as I go ahead and move it over. So I'm going to play a song real quick. Bear with me. Just give me 90 seconds. I'll be right back. Thank you so much for your patience. That didn't take much. But yes, he, as a person who wasn't, or I know is not 20 or 25, he's very, very intelligent. I'm not saying he's not. He's well read and he understands. But I'm not saying I express myself any better, because we all have our way and our perspectives. But I will say that he could have framed it different. And he was basically revealing things that I feel also were true. And let me point those things out. He was saying that a lot of the guys who portray being decent guys are just as bad, because they could be a pastor, they could be a guy who's speaking truth, it could be into the whole comedic thing, or, you know, all the different categories that we find ourselves in, whether we believe in them or not. But they uphold the sanctity of black womanhood, but they're out here screwing around with the hoes. And they have wives and they're out there screwing with the hoes. And some of them are single, professing they want a good woman to marry, but they're out there with the hoes. This is what he's saying. I'm not calling our sisters hoes. And I know there's so many of our sisters out here that are acting in that manner. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it either. I know. You got some sisters out here that are rougher than dudes. Rougher than dudes. Brother told me the other day, he went over to this woman's house. I've known her for many years, so I even know her too. And so when he got there and couldn't perform, he had a little bout with erectile dysfunction. She hurried him up and got him out of there. And before he was out the door, she was on the phone with another dude. Guys do stuff like this now. She did it too. This is the time that we're living in. But I would not say that marriage is dead, because you're not marrying the whole population of women, and women, you're not marrying the whole population of men. It's just one. And you will think marriage is dead if you don't know yourself. So there may be people out here in the world, in the chat room, who say, listen, I don't want to get married. I'm not mad at you. It's not easy. Even when it seems like it's going smooth, you'll question yourself while the outside world is saying, oh, yes, it's so wonderful what you have. And you're like, oh, my God. And then things get better. That's just the way it is. You have two people who are human, who are incomplete, and who possibly may not even know who they are deep down inside. And now you're going to join them together? Well, we need to take time. It shouldn't be the whole revolving door policy where we get into something just driven by lust, or we get into something driven by some need. Oh, he has this big house. He's making good money. I need to get with him. So what about the pure thing that we had in the Black community back in the 50s, back in the 60s, when the majority of Black families were married? And who said it was easy? But that is a base. See, I'm not even just talking about marriage. If you can say marriage is dead, you can say Black community is dead. Even if it's not a marriage with a piece of paper, but a commitment. You have children. And it can work. If your man is beating on you and you can't be with him, and you take your child and you raise a child, I'd rather you raise the child as a single mother than be in a toxic situation like that that would scar and mar the mind of that child. But the bottom line is better when you have everything intact. And then you can build community. But if you say marriage is dead in the Black community, which the statistics tell us that it is, because of plummeting marriage rates and the uprise of divorce rates, that's a reflection of something. But just like rap music was hijacked by the corporate entities to become something very poisonous to us, well, what do you think it helped to do for marriage? Because marriage was already on its way out at that time, early 1990s. So what happened to those older men and older women who were in Jet magazine, 70s, 80s, 90s, married so many years, and you ask them what's the secret, and they give you the advice. And it was a stability that we had that we don't have anymore. Relationships are not expected to last any longer. Well, what happened to the guy that you were with? Oh, I forgot about him. He ain't this, he ain't that. He was always broke. He was always this. You didn't hear this kind of talk as much back in the 50s and 60s, because we had situations where single mothers were out there, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with single mothers. Some of them have done a phenomenal job and not stayed with the father because the father may have been abusive or absent. But I'm just saying overall, for you to say that, and I've said it too, that the Black community is being defeated right now. We're a conquered people. Not all of us. Nobody here in this chat room is conquered. We all go through issues and challenges, but you're not conquered. Where you don't know that the way for us to be together is to be together in unity. So we don't have to preach that here because we already know it. But I was quite surprised that even then you have to have a little sympathy. You have to be able to look into a situation deeper. I know there are a lot of our sisters that are not acting as they should, just as well as there are a lot of our brothers who are not acting as they should. But let's look deeper into the situation as to why they are the way they are. We get a little older, and we forget that in recent years, the passage of time for us has moved even faster. So how do you think I feel at 60 years old? I'll be 70 in a year and a half. That's the way it's going to feel to me. And then I hear my brothers that are transitioning. I'm not afraid of that. But I got a job to do. And as this man-made thing, this engineered thing called time on this level moves forward, every time one of our soldiers or sisters transition, a baton is passed to me and gives me more of a sense of urgency. How can I represent that one that fed so much into me, and now I got it now? It's like Super Mario jumping across the screen and jumping on things and getting the power and getting stronger. It doesn't mean that you're taking their life force, but there's a responsibility now that you represent that one who is not here anymore. It doesn't mean you're going to talk like them. It doesn't mean you're going to have the same exact ideology or way of serving up the truth, but you must represent them. And so what happened with us, that we don't think to represent those fathers and those mothers who stuck together? What happened to dislodge us from that ideology? Something happened. We know the culture has been hijacked. But look at the old Maury Povich show and Jerry Springer show. Those were also things to engineer into our mind that family ain't shit. Marriage ain't shit. Marriage is dead. Relationships are dead. Pump and dump her. Pump up in her and dump her. Ghost her. Don't answer the phone. Use her for sex. They're all hoes and 304s and no good. How would you feel if someone spoke about your mother that way? And if maybe your mother wasn't in your life, that mother figure, who you hold up to be that, because it doesn't always have to be biological. We got some terrible fathers out here. We have some terrible mothers. Some folks will say, well, I don't care if somebody talked to my mother that way because she wasn't shit either. But in the proper way of how things ascend and how things move forward, what disconnected us from that traditional way? And again, I say, I agree. In this climate today, there's not much to find to want to marry, right? Marriage is more than just, I'm going to lock you down because you made me feel good last night with sex. This is a bigger thing. Does anybody these days even know what that's all about? It's been so cheapened. Every time you get on TMZ, somebody's getting married and somebody's getting divorced. It's a cheap exercise right now. It's just something to do. I just want to hold on to you for a while so you'll be in my bed and I'll call you my wife. But you're nothing but a captured hoe, a captured 304. This is how a lot of men think. Damn, girl, when I saw you in the club, damn, you had that tight ass miniskirt on, man. That ass was banging. I said to myself, I gotta marry you. You heard me. I've heard men say this. When I used to do bouncing in 2 different clubs in Orlando, I would hear men say this. Damn, baby, your ass. I want to marry her. You want to marry a woman, a female? Because a lot of them are not real women, meaning in the fullest sense of the word. I'm not saying they're men. Because of 2 rounded, well-rounded booty cheeks? That's all? You mean you don't try to find out what kind of integrity and what type of attributes that she has, that once the beauty fades, she'll still look beautiful because she has something worth more than just the physical beauty, because that don't last. Brothers, 18, 19, 22, 25. Your dick gets hard. I'm going to talk it raw tonight. Hard like a rock. Somebody calls your name and you standing in the aisle in Walmart and your thing is so hard, you turn around and knock everything off the shelf. You think it's always going to be that way? So why base your offering to a woman on just that alone? Baby, I don't care what you say. When I lay this pipe to you, boy, you're going to want to marry me. And a lot do. So we do things without thinking. There's a lawyer that I knew in Orlando named Peggy. And she told me we used to have lots of late night conversations on a very sensible level. And it's when I first got online on AOL. And I met her in one of the AOL chat rooms. And I wasn't surfing for stuff, but I was sharing artwork and reaching out to people. This thing was new to me. Come to find out, she lived across the street and around the corner from me. We never met. We didn't have to. It wasn't that kind of thing. But we had the deepest conversations over the phone. And I learned so much from her. And one thing that she said to me, she said that a lot of people, young and old, mess themselves up because they go to bed with somebody that they can't see themselves marrying. Now, she was single. She was maybe a couple years older than me. I'd say 10, maybe. And she had been out there. And she was single. And she kept to herself. But if she saw somebody that she liked, she would deal. But she was very realistic. And she let them know, listen, we can be together or maybe we're not going to be together. But she said, always, don't lay down with somebody that you can't find yourself being with, because you can get pregnant. Now you got a child. Now you're stuck together if it's not meant to be. And usually when it's driven by lust, that's not enough, y'all. That's not enough. I don't care how horny you are. I don't care how much y'all are sipping a little drink or whatever, a little puff or something or whatever, and you sitting up in the room on a Saturday night looking at each other. Brothers looking at the girl and them pretty thighs she got and them little boobies she got and them lips, and she's ready and you ready. And it's the most delicious feeling in the whole wide world, but it doesn't make it right. Because when you wake up the next morning, is that feeling gonna be there still? You've got to be attracted to the person because of those unseen attributes that are very much there. Brother said marriage is dead. True marriage is dead today. Am I contradicting myself? No. But if you are attracted to someone and get with somebody just on some carnal foolishness, it's dead. But true marriage, when you know who you are, when you are ready to commit, when you want to build community, when you want to build family, a strong family. And I happen to know several individuals in my life around me that are like that. And they say, till death do you part. Yes, that's what it's all about. But many of us, we can't even last to the end of the year. And December just started. You know what I mean? No, we know November just started, but I'm just saying that we can't even last a couple weeks. You see? It's the time and the climate. You don't go out to have a barbecue in your yard and break out with the grill and it's 15 degrees in the backyard. You can't say having barbecues are dead. You picked the wrong time to do it, damn it. Do it in the summertime when it's warm. You go out now as a man with the young ladies who are out here, and I can't even call some of them ladies, and I'm not putting down the real sisters. Y'all know how I talk. You know, I honor and respect all of you, but there's a lot of women out here that don't honor and respect themselves. And really and truly, I have to agree with the brother, as he said, that a lot of them are just on the, no, we're talking about men too now, but I'm speaking as a man. This goes for both sexes. You see what I mean? And the soul ties that are created, the soul ties. You think that's something fake? Say you have, let me pull up my chin. Let's get down in it. Let's just talk a little bit. This ain't gonna be super long. We're just gonna talk. You're horny, and you see somebody that you find attractive, and they're horny too. And you dance around each other for a while. I don't mean dance on the dance floor. You kind of skirt around. It could be a coworker. It could be a neighbor. It could be a friend of a friend. Yo, hook me up with that girl, man. I like the way she looks. And she has the same thing on her mind too, because she's going to school and working and doesn't have time, nor does she want a relationship. You might have a little more time, but your time is accounted for also. So it's no real love thing. You kind of like the way she looks and she likes the way you look. You connect with each other and y'all been backed up for so long, aside from the occasional bout of masturbation, and you get it on and it's so good. And the love songs are playing and the body's perfect and his body's perfect. And y'all are in a rhythm. Like Eddie Murphy said back in, I believe it was Eddie Murphy Raw, the stand-up routine that he did. He said that the cheap saltine crackers that was in the plain box, when he was so hungry, something to the effect of, they tasted like Ritz crackers because he hasn't had none in a long time. So we romanticize laying down with somebody and we tack on all these things. Oh, I want to marry you. Oh, and it sounds good because you're feeling good. You're feeling good. I remember when I was, how old was I? 50. Look, we're going to talk raw tonight. Please, I don't want to insult nobody. I just have to tell you what it is. This girl was giving me a blowjob. Oh my God. It felt so good. My toes were spreading like Mr. Spock's hand when he says, live long and prosper. Toes weren't even touching. She was making me feel so good. You know, I'm rubbing her head, but I also had my hand on the post top. I was rubbing that like it was that doing that to me. I was out of my mind. And when I approached that grand moment of the peak, the climax, the orgasm, I was like, oh God, I love you. I love you. Damn, baby, I love you. I was a kid. I was an experienced kid, but that particular experience was a whole new level with what she was doing to me. And this is how a lot of us men and women are. We feel good and we start pulling all this other stuff down from the sky. It is what it is. Now, on that note, I will agree with the brother because we're not mature enough to differentiate. And you got some people who they're battle hardened and they're wise and they know how to do this thing without getting caught up. But even that is imbalanced because you got to hold back one part of yourself and open up another. See, it's a slippery slope because even if you have low vibration sexual contact, you keep messing around, you're going to catch feelings. I'm going to say it again. You keep messing around with this person who you might like a little bit, but you're going to catch feelings and there ain't no commitment, but you got the feelings. And now you let the feelings cause you to get married. You don't care about no big ceremony. You go down to city hall and fill out the paperwork and, have a little thing done by a little pastor there or whatever here and there, throw them a few bucks, take a few pictures, almost like what you see here on the banner. That might be it. I don't see any other person standing around. And you tell people we said, oh, we got married last month. You know what I mean? It's easy to do that. And now you're married. And the law says you're married. But are you really married? And so when you don't work out and you feel bitter now at the other person, oh man, they tricked me. Well, why'd you pull your zipper down and put it in their mouth and feel good now? In the back of your mind, you want to capture that lightning in the battle and have it all the time, so you married her. You found out that she didn't like to wash her ass too much and clean around the house. And maybe you did, and maybe you didn't. There were things about you she didn't like. Right? And she told you about it. Y'all tried a little bit, but the foundation of what you got into was not solid. What happened to accountability with families, even if your family tree was broken somewhat, or maybe one was adopted? We can work around those things, right? Because we all have a lineage in something. Who raised you? Who were you around? What were your influences? Now we can just do what we do, get married on paper, and I want to blame that institution because you didn't live up to it. Because there's much more. It's the joining of two families. How many people you know get married now who are already in adult years that will, or you might tell them you got married, but there's no procedure. And I've said it before. How the hell are you going to say marriage is dead when you did not date, when you did not court, when you did not get engaged? You just go to the head of the class. One day you meet him in the club and 2 weeks later you're married. Well, you deserve a bad situation, but don't say marriage is dead because you didn't do it right. And again, I agree with you if you say, I'm not ready or I don't ever want to get married, because we have different experiences in our life. You choose. I'd rather you say you don't want to be bothered in a marriage and that's not for you, than getting caught up bringing children into the world possibly, and you still feel this way that you don't want to be bothered because you didn't build the foundation from the ground up. There's a reason why there's stages in two people getting together. Like I said, you can call it dating. Some people say don't call it dating, but you can't jump over any one part of the process. It's there for a reason. You're dating, there's no commitment whatsoever. You checking out the energy of the person. It's just like when you go down to the car dealership and say, hey, I want to have a test drive. And one of the people there selling the cars, one of the dealers, he'll ride with you so you don't drive off and go down to another state. Then they got to load jack you and lock you up. But you go ahead and test drive it. There's no commitment to buy. The car dealer, it's his job to try to rope you in with that, hence the test drive. But there's a procedure that you got to sign papers. They got to check your credit. Sometimes you're in there buying a new car and it's all day long. You didn't pick the model already, but it's all day long checking you out and making sure you're credit worthy. What happened with us? We give our bodies to each other. We jump into the sack and don't even check the status of our health. We're here swallowing each other's crotch sauce. Yeah, I said it. How about that? That's what we do. I know I'm not the only one who drank a woman's crotch sauce in here. It is what it is. So now you're jacking yourself up with these soul ties, shared DNA, and then you want to get a divorce and get out of it. Well, you shouldn't have got in it. You should have stayed home and jerked off. You'd be better off. You mad because of the money you spent on the date. You mad because now y'all got a kid together and you can't stand her, but the soul tie makes you jealous when you see her with another man. What a mess that you put yourself in, and you say marriage is dead. Marriage ain't dead. The process you don't want to go through. That's what it is. You don't want to go through the proper process because you got to take baby steps first. Ain't nothing wrong with liking the way a person looks, because that doesn't mean commitment. So you can investigate a little further. You know, I like that woman over there. She looks real nice to me. I'd like to get to know her a little better. Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that? And you get to know her. It used to be where a mutual friend or acquaintance would introduce you, and they were usually there. And you found out the basic things about each other. Like me, I like sushi. Oh, you like sushi too? Oh, fine. Well, maybe if you're free, you know, maybe we can go and get some together. My treat. I'd like to get to know you better. How is it that a guy can meet a woman and then the next day come back and tell the fellas how good the head job she gave to him? What kind of mess is that? And I've been told, oh, Mr. SCURV, you just a grumpy old man. Negro, please. If you knew my rap sheet, you knew. You can't even catch up to the stuff that I've done. I'm not even glorifying that stuff. And if I can talk to myself and go back in time and straighten myself out a little bit, because I know what real fun is on that level, maybe I would have cooled out a lot more, but I knew better. I knew better. I knew what I was doing. You know what you're doing. When you do what you do, you tiptoe a little more, you do it in the shadows, and you make sure nobody finds out. So you know what you're doing. And it used to be even to take a young lady on a date, you had to go deal with the parents. If the father was working, you had to deal with the mother. And she made sure to tell you when you had to bring her daughter back, and you better let her know where you all are going. You paying for the date, and she had her own money, just in case. And usually there might be a chaperone that comes with you. Might be that mother that comes along on a date. So you sitting there watching the movie, your hands can't do no kind of traveling. Ain't no kissing going on, no smooching going on. You're going to watch the damn movie. And you thought you was going to get away with it. So you're not sitting in the back row. You're sitting 3 rows back from the front, and you really had to watch that movie. And if you as a man or a young man had some kind of intention of going somewhere else with it in the back row of the movies, you watching the movie, you mad, not even seeing the movie. What was the movie about? I don't know, man. I was mad, man. Her mom's came. And the thing is, if she didn't show up or want to come with you or send an older brother, well, he's coming with you. What? First thing out her mouth when she first meets you, the mother now, you in the living room standing up at attention. Hold on, I need to go into the other room and get my glasses and put the lights on. And you standing there like it's military inspection. And she asks who your mama is, who your daddy is, where you live. Ask you about you. What's your career? What you mean, what's my career? I'm only 15 years old. But it's summertime and you need to be working somewhere. They didn't say that, but that's what they were looking at. And if you're a little bit older and you want to take that girl on just a date, one of the questions that mother would ask, young man, where are you employed? What the hell does this got to do with me taking her out? They want to know. And if you took too long to answer, it was a no-go. You ain't going nowhere with her. They thought you was hustling drugs or something. They ain't gonna put that kind of, their daughter in no kind of risk. But now it's easy to date that daughter because lots of times the mama might be looking at you, might be looking for somebody for the night, might be at the same damn club. There's not too much difference now between child and, mother, child, and grandmother. Because usually now it's only about 15 years apart. So you have a grandmother at 45 years old, and her daughter will be 30 and the child 15. And that 45-year-old is about to be a great grandmother soon if you go by a hood timeline. See, it's the breakdown of so much of those safety, I won't say barriers, but those safety mechanisms in place that you could not go to the next level. Look at him, how many of our sisters bring home these wayward, thugged out, lazy ass men. Am I saying all black men are that? No, I'm not saying that. But how many of us have seen that enterprising woman who has so much promise and so much intelligence and so much about her that you knew that the world was hers? And you see her walking next to this dude who is so unkempt. It's one thing to sag your pants, but you're sagging your pants and now the aromatic smell of ass is all over the room because your pants are down and you didn't wash your backside. Lint all in your hair, stinking underarms like you played basketball for the last 3 days and take a bath. You can't tell me nothing or defend yourself on any of this foolishness these days. Because I come from a time when you even thought about approaching a young lady, you better be groomed. You better be groomed. If you are old enough to have a beard, that bad boy better been trimmed so nice. And if you didn't, you better be shaved. You better be smelling good. And when you took that woman on a date, legitimately, the outfit you had on, you usually went and bought new. You didn't want to wear something that you wore 3 weeks ago at a party and somebody saw you in it and you show up in that. If it was something special and you try to impress, it didn't have to be something super expensive, but you took time to make yourself out to be something. The conversation you had to be something phenomenal. It wasn't just I'm gonna dig your guts out. I'm gonna pump and dump. I'm gonna break your back. Like, what kind of violent talk is that anyway? Even if it's, like I said, a decent woman. Yeah, you're not gonna refuse if she comes on to you, but then you're gonna have an idea about that. Well, it's just the first date. She coming on to me when she must be doing this to somebody else. You both had to have a sense of restraint. You see what I mean? I'm describing the folks living in Gary, Indiana. Yeah, and y'all, like she said, yeah, grandma now in their 30s and 40s. For real. We had the safety mechanisms. Remove the safety mechanisms, and it looks like marriage is dead, but it's not dead. The stronger the marriage and commitment rate, the stronger the community. Them people there that Kanye West had a problem with, you can say what you want about them, even when the men front, because them men be cheating too. They do that little sneaky stuff too. I know that for a fact. I got a couple stories about that. But you ain't coming between them and a family structure. Oh no. Oh no. I'm not condoning them having side pieces. Some of them do, but you know what? Priority even with the side piece. And that call comes in. Yeah, I have to go now. Where are you going, Yankel? I got to go home to my children and my wife. See? Oh, look at us. We do what we want. The ones who are lower vibration. Hey, baby, you got a wife, right? Yeah, that don't matter. I do what I want to do until the mess happens. the safety mechanisms. So the whole society is just torn down, and you expect marriage to thrive? You put holes in the bucket on the right side on the bottom, and you try to fill it up. Well, it's only on the right side, the holes that are there. That's a hole to the whole bucket. It's going to drain out. Well, there were holes on the ship on the right side, but not on the left side. It's one ship, dummy. We can't keep trying to do things and get away with it and think we're going to have righteous results. You can't put your woman out there in the street as a plaything and you call yourself big pimping and you selling your woman off and beating her down to take her money and selling her off to some white man, and you expect them to respect us? You expect them to respect us? You the fool, because they ain't putting their woman out there. Some of them do, right? Because that's in their nature anyway. But what kind of way are we doing following the nature of somebody on a low vibration who likes to eat their meat raw, huh? Who don't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a vagina or balls hanging in front of that anus that they're pumping. Yeah, I said it. It don't matter to them. You feel good. It's a little KY jelly up there. Oh, it's a man, so what? It was a woman, so what? They are. And that's how some of y'all are becoming. All messed up. Soul ties. The soul ties between a man and a woman. But guess what? You got all kind of wicked soul ties out there. Because check it out. What happens when a man lays down with a man? It's not a righteous thing, but things are formed. And he's been doing this for years, and you married to a man that you don't even know. And he's coming home. And he wants a little servicing. And you don't realize that you sucking on some funky doo-doo chocolate out the next man's anus because this man is down low. Oh God, how can you talk that way, Scurv? Well, how the hell can these men be this way? And turn around and say, marriage is dead. There's a lot of twisted perceptions out here. And this same brother, I remember him saying that, and this is a whole other topic. I just want to throw this in there. He says, when a man is in the bed with two women, he's secretly gay. How the hell are you going to be secretly gay when you're in the bed with two women? Now, I'm not condoning that. I've been in that pairing thousands of times. I should know I ain't gay. Ain't nothing homo about me. I'm sorry. And he went on to say different things, but this guy got some issues. He's got some issues. It's like the dude on another video somebody sent me. Anytime a man watches porn, it's because he's gay. I broke it down in another show. I'm not condoning you watching porn. We've all seen it. We've all indulged in it to a point. Right? But this dude said when you watch porn, heterosexual porn, you a heterosexual man and you watching heterosexual porn. Well, you're not really looking at the woman as you stroke yourself. You're looking at the man's penis. And I'm like, come on, man. Then why don't you just go to homo porn and watch that? What it is when a man watches porn, the penis in the scene becomes the penis representative of him. And anything that happens to that penis by them women, it's actually, in his mind, him. So you're seeing penis, but you're not looking at it like it's somebody else's. It becomes you. So when these people say these things, and we got to be real with it. Doesn't mean you have to be raw all the time. But don't say in this climate of LGBTQ induced black women hating black men, Black men hating black women. Men turn into men and women turn into women. Lack of self-esteem because we're taught that we're the lowest of low, and it's reinforced in our children every time they pop in a video, watching a video on their phone now. The women on TikTok, half of them, they click the button on their phone and they turn around and wiggle their ass. Is that the only thing you have to offer? Don't get me wrong. I love a beautiful ass. But it don't mean that that's all I'm going to see in a woman. Because it takes much more than a beautiful ass to raise a family, to impart wisdom to your children. So your version of marriage is dead, but it doesn't mean the real deal. You know, we did a show earlier on homeless veterans. And in my search, we all know what that is. We all know and understand what goes on when you have homeless veterans, how the system has failed them. But I punched it in, and I wanted to read a couple articles to brush up because I had an introduction to that show to make. And I wanted to be a little more knowledgeable. I wasn't trying to have a crash course on that because these brothers were going to come on and break it down for real. But in my search for homeless veterans, you know, when you try to fish and you put out a certain net for fish and you pull it in, you're going to have a few crabs. So one of the terms that came back was fake homeless veterans. I was like, oh man, somebody's trying to scam all the time. So I knew a couple dudes in the hood. This one was notorious. I knew he wasn't real. And he was discovered, right? They found out about him, but he claimed to be in the Marines and he wear a certain cap and walk a certain way. He was skinny as anything, walking like he was an airplane, arms stuck out straight. He had muscles and kept his hands in a position like the Kung Fu grip. Remember back G.I. Joe and they had Kung Fu grip? And the hands are always like it was holding a baseball bat, invisible. He was walking around like that. And so he was getting money. You know, he was kind of poor, but he was getting money. And he would go to different, programs for the homeless veterans. And he was eating up a storm. I couldn't believe it. So there's so many people out here who we call it marriage. But what is it for you? We call it commitment. But what is commitment for you? See, we have to act and understand that the currency has to match. I can't come to the store where they only accept US dollars with Japanese yen. Then we got to figure out the exchange rate. It's money, but you have to bring the money that store honors, right? So you're a brother who might think you have a good woman. You're a woman who thinks you have a good brother, but you better test that bad boy out. See, we don't test drive each other, but we test drive the car. We take more care of our car than we do our personal life and our emotions. Because when you start getting it together, you're going to get them soul ties. Let me tell you something. Here's a theory of mine. You don't even have to have sex with a person. You go to bed with them, sleep with them, hold them. You can hold them, but you're not having sex. You're still going to catch feelings because you're very vulnerable and you're very tender and you drop your guard and your subconscious mind opens up and who knows what the hell is going on at that point. Not just about sex. Look at the close, decent relationship that men may have who are in the trenches of war. Men and women may have, women too in the trenches of war, men who go through college together. They go through 4 years in the same dorm and they have fun times together and serious times together. There's a bond that's formed. It doesn't always have to be sex. So when you say marriage is dead, what currency do you hold in your hand? Because it's quite a different currency that I might have in my hand. Yet I agree that so many of us are not ready for that. I agree that some of the women, and I hate to say this, some of the women, the way they carrying on, and a lot of them put themselves in a position where they're only good for one thing. I hate to say that. And some of the brothers that are out here, you're interchangeable. What else do you have to offer when you're on that low vibration? And you get mad when she just wants you for money. What else you got to offer? A woman can get a dick on every corner. Dick just chasing her all day long. She at the red light, minding her business, and there's some man next to her staring at her, obviously in lust. You go to the supermarket. You don't want to be bothered. Like I said before on the other show, you might have diarrhea and be on your period at the same time, but you had to run to the store. Some dude coming up behind you trying to flirt on the low-low. It's easy for a woman to find a erect fool. But how are you going to find each other when you both are low vibrational? That's the standard of the land now. So I understand when he pretty much says, and he didn't say it like this, but finding someone is like shopping the day after Christmas. For those who celebrate that craziness. But it doesn't mean it's impossible, because you have to know yourself, you have to know your standards, and you have to be ready. Some of us don't want to be ready and ain't never going to be ready. I'm cool with that. Like I said, best to not get into something and have to get out, because it's easy getting in and it's hard getting out. Like two dogs having sex that's stuck, and you walk into school and y'all start throwing rocks at the dog and they can't. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But I just wanted to share those points, and I could go on forever with that. And for me now, 2:15 is usually something easy for me to do in the wee hours. But I've been putting down the work and other things and different interests and expanding and ascending. Right now, I'm feeling it. I'm just so glad to talk with you. And like I said, we're going to do this every night before I go to bed and every morning after I wake up. You mess around, I might start doing 3 times a day. We might do that. Not a promise, but it might be that. Yeah. It's crazy. So anyway, tomorrow morning, I'm going to talk about something else. Rest in power, Michael Hamer. For those who came in late and didn't hear the announcement, Michael Hamer has transitioned. And like I said, we're going to miss him, but we know that this is the way righteously that things go. So I can't be mad at my creator. But let me skedaddle. If there's anybody that wants to come in and say anything, it's okay. If you don't, I'll always extend the option and drop the link in. I'll give it 3 minutes. If anybody wants to say anything on the topic, just to even shout out or whatever. That's how we do. But we got to be brutally honest with each other. Brutally honest. Brutally honest. Stop trying to hold stuff and hide stuff. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. I knew a woman who was married to a hardworking black man, decent acting man. It was taking him a little time to come home from work. So she decided to straighten up in the bedroom and pulled back the drawer on his side of the bed, and all kind of dildos fell out. Homeboy was, so he had to come clean. And he admitted to her that that's what he liked. And if she can stimulate him that way while he is on top of her. I knew this in detail because her hairdresser was my old girlfriend, and she used to tell her everything. I couldn't believe it. What happens if she didn't discover that? Well, I'm not going to knock somebody for what they're into, but you got to be brutally honest and be open with things. the great parts and the shortcomings. Too many of us are damn liars, refurbishing old junk that somebody else didn't want and making it appear to be something that is glorious and new and what a catch I am. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm going to sign off and get some rest. And as soon as I wake up, I promise we'll go live. It might be very early for most people, but I'll come back with something in the afternoon. And tomorrow, yes. Well, right now for me it's Friday. And I know on the East Coast it's 10:19 because it's 2:19 over here. Oh, did we have the 5-hour difference yet? No, not until Sunday. Right, Sunday. Sunday there'll be a 5-hour difference. It makes it much easier for me to do a morning show. I could be sitting up here 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 8 for y'all on the East Coast. But I got to pay for it at night. So I have a method to work around that also. But I want to keep the content going, and I want to keep it on meaningful things that are thought-provoking and have us thinking, and have us thinking and actually avoiding certain situations that may be a pitfall waiting for you, but you weren't hip to it. I'm not calling anybody here dumb or saying I know everything, but collectively, if we share what we know, we can strengthen ourselves. But marriage is not dead. It's not dead. It's the people who are so low vibrational and don't want to go through the proper process. And if you do not want to do it, you don't have to. That's all. You don't have to. Don't waste anybody's time, especially when it's only a lust thing for you. But anyway, I'm going to skedaddle. I just want to let you know I love you all very much. I hope you enjoyed the words. And I'll be back tomorrow or later on in a few hours. But I know I'm going to sleep good tonight. I just know it. I feel it. I feel naturally drunk. Rest in power, Michael Heyman. We're going to miss you. But we know that you've completed your time and we cherish the time that we spent together. And you added on to my life so much. And I thank you, and I thank the Creator for the opportunity. And I know our energies will mix and blend once again. It may not be in these bodies. It may not be no time soon, but the energy that propelled you through the world and helped you to gain the wisdom and knowledge that you had, that you shared so abundantly and generously, I know that we all have to be together again. The Creator doesn't make anybody for you and take them away forever. But while you have them, let them know how much you love them, cherish them, and how much they mean to you and what they do for you in your life. And that's a beautiful thing. Anyway, much love to you all. I will talk with you tomorrow. Another topic. We're going to get down in it. And thanks for your support. Much love to you all. Peace.